2 hours after her wedding, the bride gently wiped away her makeup, and in that quiet moment, something happened that changed her husband's life forever. What he revealed afterward left everyone in tears. This is their story. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to Black Inside 2.0 for more emotional, life-changing stories. Your support helps us. There are some moments in life that become etched into memory, not because of their grandeur, but because of their quiet simplicity. Moments that sneak up on us and change us without warning. And for Daniel and Elena, their wedding day began as one of those picture-perfect dreams that everyone believes will last forever. The ballroom still shimmered from the remnants of the celebration. Rose petals lay scattered across the floor like tiny fragments of joy. Laughter had filled that room for hours, echoing off crystal chandeliers and dancing with the music. At the center of it all had been the couple, Elena, with her radiant smile, and Daniel, with eyes full of hope and pride. To everyone who attended, they looked like the kind of couple whose story was destined to become a beautiful legend. But what no one knew was that the most unforgettable chapter wouldn't be written during the ceremony, but just 2 hours after. The promise of forever. Elena had always believed in love in a way that felt almost old-fashioned. She grew up watching her parents hold hands at every opportunity, even after 32 years together. She dreamed of that kind of partnership, one built on quiet gestures, shared dreams, and a bond that deepened with time. Daniel, on the other hand, had lived much of his life behind emotional walls. He wasn't broken, but he was guarded, careful with his heart, cautious with his trust. Then Elena came along like sunlight breaking through clouds he didn't even know were there. She brought warmth, laughter, and unshakable belief in him. Loving her felt effortless, like something his soul had always known how to do. Their wedding day was a celebration of that love. Elena's dress had flowed like a river of white silk around her, embroidered with delicate patterns that looked almost like they were alive. Daniel couldn't take his eyes off her, not once. When the priest pronounced them husband and wife, Daniel whispered, "You're my forever." Elena smiled, her eyes glistening. "Only if you promise to notice the little things," she said. "The moments people forget to remember." He nodded, "Every single one." No one realized then how much that promise would matter. Behind closed doors, after the final guests left and the music faded into silence, Daniel carried Elena across the threshold of the bridal suite. Their laughter echoed softly in the elegant room. The air smelled faintly of lilies and vanilla, her favorite scent. Elena stepped toward the mirror, still glowing from hours of dancing and smiling. "Give me a minute," she said, her voice light. "My face needs to breathe." Daniel watched her from the velvet chair near the bed. She took a cotton pad and gently wiped away her makeup. Bit by bit, the glamorous bride transformed back into the Elena he saw every morning, fresh-faced, soft, and impossibly beautiful. He loved her wedding look. But this was the version of her that made his heart swell. "Why are you staring at me like that?" Elena asked, laughing. "Because," Daniel said, "you look like the woman I fell in love with. Not the bride everyone expected, but the real you." She paused, touched. "Sometimes I worry that without all this," she gestured to the discarded makeup, "I won't be enough." Daniel stood, walked to her, and gently held her face. "You're more than enough. You're my beginning, and my home." Her eyes softened with emotion. "Promise me something," she asked quietly. "Anything. Promise that no matter how life changes us, you'll always look at me the way you're looking at me right now." He smiled. "I already promised. I noticed the little things, remember?" She laughed again, her cheeks flushed. That was Elena, always mixing vulnerability with joy in a way that made you love her even more. An unexpected moment. After removing her makeup, Elena sat at the edge of the bed, still wearing her wedding dress. She seemed lost in thought, her hands folded gently in her lap. "Daniel," she said softly, "can we talk?" He sat beside her. "Of course." Elena took a slow breath, like she was finding the courage for something. "Do you ever feel scared," she began, "that something beautiful might disappear before you have the chance to truly appreciate it?" Daniel frowned slightly. "What do you mean?" She looked down at her hands. "Today, everything was perfect. Too perfect. And sometimes when things feel this good, I get terrified that life will find a way to remind me nothing lasts forever." He reached for her hand. "Elena, nothing in this world could take today away from us." "It's not today I'm worried about," she whispered. "It's tomorrow, or the next day, or the next year." Daniel pulled her closer. "That's exactly why we're together now. Whatever comes, we face it together." She nodded, leaning her head on his shoulder. "I know. I just wish time would slow down." I wish I could bottle this moment. You, us, everything. It won't go anywhere, you promise. With everything I am, she smiled, reassured, but only partly. There was something else lingering in her eyes, something quiet and deep, like she carried a secret emotion she didn't know how to release. But Daniel didn't press her. He thought she was overwhelmed from the day, the joy, the attention, the exhaustion. He didn't know that this moment would become one he'd replay over and over. The stillness. About an hour passed. Elena changed into a satin robe while Daniel hung up his suit jacket. She moved slower than usual, with a thoughtful calmness that felt different but not alarming. She sat by the window, watching the moonlight spill across the room. It's so beautiful tonight, she murmured. It is, Daniel agreed. Can we sit for a moment? She asked. Just sit, no talking, no rushing, just being. Daniel joined her without hesitation. They remained silent, listening to the distant sound of wind rustling through the garden trees outside. After several quiet minutes, Elena whispered, "If I could freeze time, I would choose this. Us, right now." Daniel placed his arm around her. "Then let's make this our forever memory." She smiled faintly but didn't respond. Her eyes stayed fixed on the moonlight, her breathing gentle and steady. After a while, she laid her head against his chest. "I'm tired," she said softly. "Do you want to sleep?" "Yes, but hold me for a bit first." He wrapped his arms around her, pulling her close. She relaxed completely into him, and the room was still, tranquil, peaceful, beautiful. Daniel didn't know that this quiet moment would become the last ordinary memory he would ever share with Elena. The shift. 2 hours after Elena removed her makeup, Daniel noticed something, subtle but enough to make him pause. Elena's breathing, which had been soft and steady, shifted into something faintly uneven, as though she were drifting too deeply into sleep. "Elena," Daniel whispered. She didn't respond. He gently nudged her. "Elena." Her body remained limp against him. And although there was no violence, no chaos, no dramatic collapse, something was undeniably wrong. Daniel's heart raced, not with fear of tragedy, but with confusion and concern. "Elena, sweetheart, wake up," he whispered, brushing her hair back. Nothing. She wasn't in pain, she wasn't distressed, she simply wasn't waking. The room felt suspended in time, quiet, surreal, heavy with uncertainty. Daniel held her tighter, as if his arms alone could anchor her back to him. And in that surreal stillness, he felt something that broke him open. A profound realization that life could shift in an instant. That love, even at its strongest, was still bound to the fragility of being human. The longest night, help arrived. Doctors, paramedics, rushed footsteps, murmured reassurances, professional hands working with urgent care. Elena was taken for evaluation, gently, respectfully, with Daniel following closely behind. Hours later, after tests, examinations, and observations, the doctors finally spoke to him. They explained that Elena had a rare neurological condition, something silent, hidden, something she herself was unaware of. A condition that could cause sudden episodes of deep unconsciousness. She wasn't harmed, she wasn't in danger, but she would need treatment, monitoring, and long-term care. Daniel listened, shaken but relieved. Elena wasn't lost, their story wasn't over, but their future now carried a new weight. When she woke, when Elena finally opened her eyes, she saw Daniel sitting beside her bed, his hands wrapped around hers. "Hey," she whispered, her voice fragile. Daniel exhaled shakily, relief flooding his face. "You scared me." "I'm sorry," she murmured. "What happened?" He explained everything gently, her eyes filled with tears, not out of fear, but guilt. "I didn't want our marriage to start like this," she said. "I wanted to be strong for you." Daniel shook his head. "Elena, being strong doesn't mean nothing ever goes wrong. It means facing things together." She looked at him, overwhelmed. "Do you still want this? Us, even if things get harder than we expected?" Daniel took her hand, kissed her forehead, and whispered, "I married you, not the idea of a perfect life, and I promise to notice the little things, even the difficult ones." She cried quietly, holding on to him. In that moment, Daniel realized something profound. Love wasn't measured by vows spoken in front of a crowd, but by the whispers shared in hospital rooms, the hands held during uncertain nights, the devotion that didn't waver when reality became complicated. The husband's message. A week later, Daniel posted a message for their wedding guests, who had been worried, confused, and waiting for news. He didn't mention medical terms or fear. He didn't speak of tragedy or suffering. Instead, he wrote words that touched every heart that read them. Greater than 2 hours after Elena removed her makeup, she fell into a deep unconscious state that reminded me how fragile life can be. But I learned something that night. Makeup comes off, flowers fade, celebrations end, but love, real love, is what remains. Our marriage didn't begin with perfection. It began with truth, with vulnerability, with the reminder that every moment together is a gift I will no longer take for granted. Cherish your partners, notice the little things, and love them the way you'd want to be loved if tomorrow looked different. His message went viral within days, not because it was dramatic, but because it was real. Their new beginning, Elena recovered slowly, supported by Daniel every step of the way. Their marriage became stronger, not in spite of the challenges, but because of them. Every night, Daniel held her the same way he had on their wedding night. Every morning, Elena woke with gratitude she hadn't felt before. They traveled, they laughed, they created traditions, they grew, and Daniel kept his promise. He noticed the little things, the way she tucked her hair behind her ear, the way she hummed while cooking, the way she looked at him like he was the safest place she knew. Their love wasn't perfect, it was real, and that made it beautiful. What really matters. Years later, when they looked back on that night, Elena said something Daniel never forgot. Maybe it happened so we'd learn early what some couples don't learn until much later. Learn what? Daniel asked. That love isn't proven on the easy days, but on the ones that challenge us. Daniel smiled, pulling her close. And I'd choose you on all of them. Elena kissed his cheek. Then we're going to be just fine. And they were, because their story wasn't defined by what happened that night, but by what they chose afterward, to hold on to each other, to stay present, and to love, deeply, sincerely, and without conditions.